Okay, we'll begin. And again, thank you for your flexibility in meeting online today. And then again, I'm sincerely sorry about the scheduling mix up and the mess up. That was totally my bad. And so I have to ask everybody to pick a new sign up spot for the proposal meeting. And so, yeah, again, I'm really sorry about that. We'll um, so if you haven't done that, please pick a time to meet, and then for the proposal meeting. And again, if everybody's able to attend, that's great. But if not, I'm just going to require just two people, at least two people from the group to attend the meeting. Okay. I wanted to just show a couple additional techniques that we have available regarding handling some text data. So as you guys are exploring and picking your data sets and things like that, some of you might have columns in your data that are text, okay? And you could teach a whole class on text analysis, and this class is not going to get into text analysis, but that there are some basic things you can do with text columns that I think can still be useful. So there might be columns in your data that include text or other things like date information and stuff like that. And so this is very much kind of just a very practical lecture with just a few demonstrations of some of the things that you can do regarding handling text information. So I think I have this Quarto document shared on Canvas or on Bruin Learn, and so and I hope my screen is big enough. Let me maybe zoom in a touch here. Okay. And so we're going to look at a few text operations and a few kind of things to handle um, categorical data. Now, I'm continuing to use kind of the Las Vegas TripAdvisor reviews data set. In the context of this data set, these are not actually useful operations, okay? But you might have data where something like this, if you modify it, could be could be useful. Okay, so I don't know what kind of data you have, but perhaps one of a popular data set is like one on movies or something, TV shows, and you have different columns, columns for like the genre of the movie or the column for like, director or something like that. And so again, I've just loaded up the data set. And again, if you look at the original data has these column names that aren't very friendly regarding data analysis in R. And so we use the janitor package to perform some operational cleaning. So again, if you look at the original data has have spaces in the um, column names. So user, space, country, it has dots in the names and things like that. And so what Janitor does is it just cleans it up, gets rid of punctuation, gets rid of spaces, or replaces spaces with underscores, and this just makes it a little bit easier for us to work with. Okay. Um, what we want to do is we want to say add some columns that we're going to take things like the name of the hotel, like a text column, and we want to create other columns based on that. Okay. And so anytime you want to add a new column, we use the function mutate. Okay. And basically mutate is used to create a new column. Okay. And anytime you create a new column, it's a good idea just to take a look at it. Okay, just to kind of make sure that this new column you've created does what you are expecting it to do, right? So in your brain, you think like, okay, this is the column I want to create. And then so you write the code for it, and then you run it, and sometimes it does what you want it to do, and that's great. And sometimes it does something different. Okay. And and so I always recommend that after you mutate the new column, okay, so this is just an example. We could take our Las Vegas data set. Our mutate is we create a new column based off of some old column that exists. Okay, so I did some operation on the old column. And then what we want to do is we want to take a careful look at it. So we're going to select the old column and the new column that we just created. And then we're going to capital V view it, and that's going to bring it up inside our viewer. And what that will, and if you do it like this, it just displays a preview, not even a preview, it just displays what it's going to do. And it hasn't saved, it hasn't modified any of the data. And if it does look like what you want it to do, then you go ahead and you save it. Okay. So this is just kind of a practical bit of advice. Always kind of just check and make sure it's going to do what you want to do before you actually like modify and save your data. Okay. And so one of the functions that we can use as far as handling a column of text data is this function called string detect. Okay. String detect just basically searches for a word, a phrase, or what we might call a pattern. Okay. And and it pairs with something called regular expressions, which is uh, again a very rich topic, and you can teach like I can have an entire lecture dedicated to regular expressions, or even multiple lectures dedicated to regular expressions. For now, we'll just use it to search for like literal um, literal words, but you can have it like, oh, I'm looking for something that looks like a phone number, or I'm looking for something that looks like an email address, and you say like a phone number consists of like three numbers and a dash, and it's four numbers or something, you can specify exactly what these different patterns look like. Okay, but for now, we're just going to say, hey, I want to look for anytime you actually see the word. In our case, we're going to say casino. Okay, so in our data set, um, again, for this particular data set, it's not it's not useful, okay, because we do have a column called casino, and we have yeses and nos for if that property has a casino. But sometimes, okay, um, sometimes our let's see. Let's see which ones don't have a casino. Okay, so the Hilton Grand Vacations, the Wyndham Grand Desert doesn't have a casino. Um, oh, that's interesting. I know some of these. And then in the property name, the hotel name, it says things like Circus Circus Hotel and Casino, the Excalibur Hotel and Casino, Monte Carlo Resort and Casino, things like that. The Caesar's Palace has a casino and things like that. I don't, I think some of these don't actually have casinos, but but anyway, some of them actually include the name casino inside the name of the hotel. And so what if we wanted to um do a search and say see if the name of the hotel includes the word casino. Okay? So what we're basically going to do is I'm going to just do like a search, and we're going to say, do you see the word casino? Okay? Do you see the word casino inside the thing? Okay? So we're going to do string detect. Okay? And here I'm going to create a new column called has casino, and it is going to search the column hotel name, and it's going to search for the word casino. And it has to be a literal exact match, capital C, lowercase a s i n o. Okay. And this is the thing. So mutate is going to create a new column called has casino, and based on the column hotel name, it's going to search to see if it detects this exact word in there. Okay. And again, just to make sure it worked, we're going to select the columns hotel name and has casino, and then we're going to view it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run that. And this is a preview, or this is what that data would look like. And so we can see, okay, Circus Hotel and Casino has the word casino in the name. Okay, Excalibur Hotel and Casino. These are all true. And then we can also just check, okay, Tropicana Las Vegas, a DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel. As far as the name goes, the name doesn't have the word casino in it, so it says false. Caesar's Palace, okay, the hotel property actually does have a casino, but as far as the name goes, Caesar's Palace, the word casino does not appear in the property name. Okay, so there might be, depending on your data set, there might be some kind of operation that you want to do um, that uses uh, like what do you call it? Uses some kind of string matching or character name matching. And if you have an idea, if you have a text column and you say, well, I want to search this text column to look for this thing or that thing, and I'm not quite sure how to do it, come to me during office hours. I feel confident in my skills with creating regular expressions or different kind of patterns and things like that. And they're quite powerful as far as like what you can do with text operations. Like, does it have this word? Does it have a pattern? Does it have something like that? I'm happy to help you. Okay. Um, it is true. You can probably ask AI. You could probably ask ChatGPT, like, "Hey, I'm trying to do this thing," and it will probably help you. And probably most of the time, it will do an okay job. But if you're not familiar with irregular expressions and handling text data and things like that, it might give you an answer that is not correct, and you might not realize that. So don't hesitate to come visit me. I'm happy to offer my kind of experience and expertise with that. Okay, so I mean, say if you're looking at like team team data or something like that, you can search like, oh, like in basketball, like which teams don't end with the letter S, right? So you have like the Lakers and that ends with the S, and the Clippers ends with an S. But you also have teams like the Miami Heat and the Utah Jazz, and those teams don't end with an S and things like that, right? And there's just kind of things that maybe you want to deal with that requires uh, um, you know, some text information. Okay. So anyway, this, when you do the view operation, it just shows you, doesn't actually save it. In our case, we actually do like that. Okay. So we do want to save it. So we're going to run that same mutate operation. Okay. And then we will assign it back to Las Vegas. So we take Las Vegas, run the mutate to create that new column, save it back to Las Vegas, and we end up saving it. Okay. And then here we can just kind of do a preview. We can just select and take a look at the first few rows, and then we can create a table based on that column. And the table is going to tell you how many times it has the word true and how many times it has the word or false, right? And so the table says we have 336 instances of false, 160 instances of true in our data set. Okay, so that's an example of taking a column and performing some basic text analysis there. All right, let me give you your first view quiz answer. First view quiz answer today is the letter D. D as in dog is our first view quiz answer. Okay, moving on. What if we want to search for like multiple words? Okay, and so some of our hotels in this thing, it says like Hilton Grand Vacations. That Hilton's a big hotel company. Marriott's Grand Chateau. We have Hilton Grand Vacations at Flamingo. We have I don't know, the West. I don't know. Okay. So, what if we wanted to search for something kind of like that? We want to look for, does it have Hilton or Marriott? Okay. So in this case, we're going to do string detect. And then here I'm going to put Hilton, vertical bar, Marriott. And then I put that inside a parentheses that says it's looking for either Hilton or Marriott. And it's going to look for that. I can run view. Okay, just to kind of get a preview of this. Here, I'm not going to save it, but here we can just kind of view that. And so we get falses here, and what we want to see is here it says Tropicana Las Vegas, a DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel. That says true. Okay. And then we have what's another example of true? Okay, Hilton Grand Vacations, Marriott's Grand Chateau, those are all true. Okay, so it does seem like it's working. Okay, so anyway, if you want to search for something, multiple patterns, not just one exact thing, you can do that as well. Okay, the sometimes rather than just matching a pattern, you might want to extract something like that. Okay. And so some of the most very kind of basic things in regular expressions is you can have a wildcard character matches any single character. You can have, I want exactly this many characters. I want it at the end of the string or I want it at the beginning of the string. And so here, um, let's say we want to get uh, the last two characters from this column. Okay. So, I don't know why we would want this. Okay. So for this particular data set, it's not particularly useful. But like, let's say I wanted to extract out the last two characters, the 7-3 or the 8-1 or the 0-3 or the 8-4 or the 6-7, the last two characters in each of these things. So, it could be something like maybe there's like you have a data set where um, you have like a serial number, okay? And perhaps the serial number is set up in such a way that the first two characters, the first two letters of the serial number correspond to, the factory that produced the product, right? So if it came from the factory in Los Angeles, maybe all the serial numbers start with 02. And then if it comes from the factory in Colorado, maybe the serial number all starts with the letters 07 or something like that. And so you might want to extract out the first two characters or maybe the last two characters or something like that, right? You can imagine, I'm just making up some stuff here, but you can imagine some scenario where it's like, okay, I want to just pull out the first two numbers or the last two numbers or the first five or the first character or something like that. Okay, so here I'm saying, what if we want to just get the last two characters out of some column. And so here I'm going to do dot curly brace 2, which just means I want the last two characters, or I just want two characters, and then the dollar sign here means I want it at the end of the string. Okay. If you want it at the beginning, you would put the caret in front of the whole thing. In this case, I want it at the end, so I'm going to put dollar sign at the end. Okay. So again, just to kind of preview this, all right, I'm going to mutate a new column called rooms underscore last two. We're going to take the number of rooms, we're going to turn it into a character thing so we can do character operations on it. And then we give it the pattern that says, I want to extract out the last two characters. And then just to kind of make sure this is working, we're going to select it and view it. And so I'm going to run this and we can say, okay, 3773. indeed, it pulled out the last two characters as 7-3. 3981, it pulls out the last two and gives me an 8-1. 3003, it pulls out the last two and gives me a 0-3, so on and so forth. It looks like it's working. 2959 pulls out the last two and gives me a 5-9. So yeah, that seems to work. Okay. If you want to do something similar, but you want the first three characters or something, you would do caret, which means I want it at the start. Dot is going to be all of the things. And then here, three, I want three characters. And so here I can just kind of run and preview. And so, yeah, 3773 gives me the first three characters, 377. 3981, 398, 3003, something like this. So you can imagine something like this where if you have like a phone number and you want to get the area code, perhaps you extract out the first three digits or something like that. Okay. And again, if you need any help with coming up with um, text patterns and what do I write in order to get out the area code or something like that, um, yeah, what if you want the first characters until you hit a space? Yeah, there are ways to do that. So if you want like here, so let's okay. So first characters until you hit a space. So basically what we want to look for in our pattern, so here I'm going to do, let's say we'll do hotel first word. So we're going to go to the like so here I want to just get like Monty and then treasure, the first word until I hit a space, right? So from here, we're going to go, I forget what's the name of the title? It's hotel name. Okay, here we go. Okay, hotel name. And basically we want to get, in this case, we would do dot star anything until, and actually it's not greedy, until we get to a space, okay? This would be the pattern. Okay, and I don't expect anybody to have known this. But again, I'm pretty sure this is what it would be. Dot dot question mark star. Yeah, dot star question mark space. I think will give me the first word up until the space. Okay, and so we'll preview this. We'll call this first word. And so here we have Circus Circus Hotel and gives me Circus. Excalibur Hotel and Casino. We have Excalibur, Monte Carlo. We get Monte, things like that. Treasure Island, Tropicana. So these are, um, you know, the kind of patterns that you can do, right? So there's lots of again, I don't expect you guys to know this because I haven't taught you regular expressions, okay? But I want you to know that these tools exist, and if you need any help figuring out like, okay, what is the pattern I need to write in order to do this thing that I want to do, okay? There's probably an answer for it, and I'm happy to help you with it, okay? And it's true. Again, AI, if you ask AI, it can probably lead you in the right direction. But the problem with using AI to do something that you're unfamiliar with is it might give you the wrong answer, and you won't know if it's the right or wrong answer. So yeah, don't hesitate. There's lots of tools available as far as uh, accomplishing what you want to do. Okay. So, so yeah, good question. And I'm happy to help you try to find whatever it is you want to do, right? So the first characters until you hit a space, something like that. Okay. Let's see. Oh, quick summaries with a table. So one of the things we can do is we can say like, um, if you just want to count like how many times we see January or February or the weekday or whatever like that, we can just select that column, okay? A one-way table, you just select that column and you call table on it. And so in our case, it does this. April, August, December. And I think when the researchers who wrote this article did selected their data set, they intentionally tried to get the same number of reviews for each month. They wanted to make sure they got 34 reviews, same number of reviews from April as they did August and December and things like that. Okay. Now, one thing is that when you create a table, it's automatically, if it doesn't have additional information, it will put it in alphabetical order, which is annoying for things like the months. The months in alphabetical order, in English at least, is April, August, December, February. You probably want to put it in calendar order, January, February, March, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. Okay. You can also create crosstabs or basically two-way tables by selecting two columns and then calling table here. So I can say take the month and the weekday, okay? And we can say how many January Thursdays are there and January Fridays and so on and so forth. And so now I will get this big table, 12 rows, 7 columns. Okay, and again, it's in alphabetical order. So we say, okay, in April, we had 34 reviews, but 5 of them were on Fridays and 9 on Mondays, 2 on Saturdays, 5 on Sundays, things like that. Okay, so, as far as this data set, I don't know, this is probably not that useful, but you might have a different data set where it could be something of interest to you, right? Maybe you have information on I don't know how people voted or something like that, right? And you can say, okay, if the person is this sex or gender, what is the count of how many voted for yes for this thing and no for the other thing, or things like that, right? So depending on your data set, you might want to create a table, and again, um, a lot of this project that I want you guys to do is I want you to be curious about your data. I want you to say, okay, I wonder what we can look at. Okay, and just be curious. And I want to give you the tools so you can start to explore answers for your curiosity. Okay, so all of these things that I'm demonstrating to you, these are just like these are examples, and it's just they can be adapted to whatever it is you're trying to do. Okay. Now, if you have something like month and weekday where alphabetical order is not the preferred order, okay? So when we're talking about weekdays, we don't want Friday, Monday, Saturday, Sunday. That's the alphabetical order. We want to go Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? We want the order. So we can use a factor that says, hey, these are the orders of the different categories that we want. Okay. So right now, review month and review weekday, these are just um, they're just treated as words, okay? There's not an inherent order to them, and so that's why when we say put them in order, it puts them in alphabetical order. But we can say, oh, you know what? These actually have a specific order that we like, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the column Las Vegas review month. So the column is going to be $ review month. And then I'm going to create a factor. So a factor takes uh, data and it turns it basically categorical data, but then you specify these are the levels or the order here. And so in our case, we want to take the review month, and then I'm going to provide in the argument levels the order in which the names should appear. So the order is going to be January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. This is going to create the factor in this order. Okay. And so now when I say make a table, now the months appear in the order we want. January, February, March, April, May, June. Okay. We can do the same thing with, say, the weekday. I'm going to say take the weekday, make a factor out of it. The order of the weekday should go in this order: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And now I have the same data. Okay, I have the same data, but now it's in the order that I like. The weekdays are in Sunday, week order. The months are in month order. But we can just double check. It's always good to just double check, like, did anything change? Did anything get messed up? So we want to make sure January Sunday was 3, January Monday was 4, and we can kind of go back to this thing. We can see, okay, January Sunday was 3, January Monday was 4. What about this? We had 12 on Sunday, November. And we just kind of want to just double check here. So November Sunday was 12. Yep. So it sure looks like the data is intact. Nothing has been altered. And it's just we've accomplished what we wanted to accomplish, which was put the names in the order that we prefer. Okay. And so that's what we have, right? So again, just tools that could be useful for you. And so table is a very useful thing as far as creating little summary tables for the different categorical variables you have. Sometimes you want to know, like, okay, in total, how many values? Like if I take this row of values and add them up, what do I get? If I take the column of values and I add them up, what do I get? Okay, we can use that, accomplish that using add margins. So here I'm taking Las Vegas, I'm selecting the month and the weekday. We're going to make a table out of that, and then we're going to say add margins. Okay. And so here we get exactly what we thought, which was um, we have 34 reviews for each month of the year. But as far as weekdays, okay, some of the weekdays get a few more reviews than others, not dramatically so, but it seems like a few more reviews on Sundays and Wednesdays for whatever reason, not as many reviews on Thursday. And that just might just be a coincidence of this particular data set, not something actually reflective, okay, um, of the underlying data. And, if you wanted to, you could perform a statistical test to see if there are differences in the counts and stuff like that. But again, this is just some tools that are available regarding uh, some things that you can do. Okay. I do think the text operations can be useful depending on the data that you have, especially if you have any columns that have text in them. Okay. So I text columns are tough to work with directly, but there's often a lot of useful and rich information in there. So I don't want you to just say, like, oh, we're just going to ignore this column completely. Perhaps there's something you can think about and find a way to use it. And again, if you have any questions or want any help with trying to figure out how to use a column, I'm very happy to help you guys. Okay. Let me give you, I think I have to give you your second and third answers. Okay, second answer is the letter B, and the third answer is the letter A. Okay, and actually, this is all I actually have for today, planned for today. So a little bit of a shorter lecture. I'll let you guys go early. If you have questions, stop by in office hours. I'm happy to help out. I'll have office hours today at noon and also at 4:30. So we'll wrap things up here. Have a great rest of your day. Appreciate your flexibility, and we'll see you guys on Friday.